their own. One of the things in the spring we got was, the schools know their families better, they know their students better than the central office, and so rather than having this in a centralized process, the schools requested to be able to handle this process on their own. And so by doing this, then schools will be able to set up when they want to distribute the devices. They will have their own method of contacting the families, so they will have that insight into seeing in ITAM not only their inventory, their current inventory, but also the students that have requested the devices. So, and then they can assign a device to a student. They would then reach out to a parent, whether that's email, phone, however they want to reach out, and then maybe you set that up on, for instance, a drive-by orientation or what have you that's you already have set up. You can school. So that's as far as the guidelines of picking those up, following safe protocol to do that. The inventory management system I mentioned on ITAM, and then the distribution schedule. So that's as far as the guidelines of picking those up.
Dr. Belcher.
Safe protocol to do that. The inventory management system I mentioned on
Dr. Belcher.
Yeah.
Hi. We had to jump over to a new link. We were having a little sound issue, and we have it fixed. So thanks, Elaine, for fixing that for us. Would you back up just a couple slides? We want to make sure that our viewers get this key information. We're so sorry about that.
Sure. You're still seeing my screen?
Yes. Everyone can hear you now, and I think you were on step maybe two, maybe start with just step one and just briefly hit them real quick for our viewers, because everyone's really interested to hear from you. Sorry about that.
Start all over?
No, step one would be great. Just a quick review, yeah. And we'll edit this and make it the on-demand episode great. So sorry about that.
That's okay, no problem at all. All right, so going back on the requesting a device will go live on Monday. That option will be on our website for families to go through and request a device. Once you request a device, to validate that, you would need to have your email address, your phone number, online with Infinite Campus, the parent portal. If you do not have that up to date, you can actually call 313-HELP to get that up to date, and they can work with you to update that information with the school. So it's really important you have that information up to date. Also, if you have difficulty completing the request, family does, any JCPS employee can take that request. So for instance, you call 313-HELP or the school, they can actually talk a family member through that, and all you have to do is authenticate and by logging in your JCPS credentials, meaning your email and password. So the request form goes in once you hit the request and you accept that responsibility of borrowing a device from the school. Then that request goes to the school. And so again, we are encouraging schools and families that have a device or an internet already at home not to request an additional, because we want to make sure that we have available for students that do not have any. So then the requests are at the school, so you then either need a device such as an internet hotspot. The hotspots were delivered to the schools this past week. There were 20, in quantity of 25. Those should be stored centrally in a location there, secure location. And then once you see, based on how many you need, if it's fewer, then we will collect those at a later date. If it's more, then we'll get more out to the school. So as far as the devices that are on the prim on school, schools have been collecting them, those in a secure location. Then as the requests come in, you'll be able to assign the device to the students in advance. And so you would assign the device to students and get that recorded. So when the student comes to pick those up, you already have that ready, and just to be able to hand them the device. So the beauty of this is we have a new inventory system called ITAM. And so within ITAM, you're able to see your school's inventory. It's a centralized inventory where we can see it at a district level. Also, it discovers devices like your Chromebooks. And if, for instance, you have a device that is not in the inventory, you can actually physically manually enter those. So within that process, you'll be able to see who requested the device, which student, your inventory, and then assign that to the student. So the schools have already been working on who's helping with this and coming up with plans on who's helping to get the devices prepared. And also we'll be getting detailed information through the toolkit that Mr. Williams, Ms. Wills is going to share as far as, I'm giving you a high level overview, but they will have resources available for the details on a lot of this. And then as far as families, so one of the things we heard back in the spring was rather than a centralized distribution process, the schools know their students better than anyone. So the schools, to be able to connect with the families and be able to connect with the students, we decentralize this, if you will. So the coordination will be coordinated from each school. Will have their own unique as far as pickups, how they want to do that, whether you want to add that on to something you already have scheduled, or maybe coordinated like a drive up they drive up and pick up the devices, and so some type of drive up orientation, whatever that would be. But again, that's unique to the schools. So once that request comes in on Monday and Tuesday, they're going to continue to come in. Then the schools would reach out and let the families know when and where to pick those up. So each school's location will be unique. The distribution process, again, make sure you're following the safety for safe pickup. Everybody needs to use the inventory management system to track those, to make sure we all have the insight on the devices that you actually have and the availability. And then finally, as far as support, so I'll let William and Stephanie speak more to the support, but as far as the support with the hotspot, so if you have a hotspot, at the first level, there's a phone number to T-Mobile as far as connecting that hotspot. And then schools will provide also tier 1 support for Chromebooks. If something happens that, first they would reach out to our JCPS customer care site, and if it can't be repaired virtually, then there would be a process as far as switching those out, and they would bring those to the schools or drop those off and then trade it out, and then an IT person would actually repair those and get those back in action. So then as far as we'll have details on, I don't want to get too far into on the specifics, but I want to give time for Stephanie and William to go over the toolkit. So I'll go ahead and stop sharing my screen and then go ahead and let you go.
Dr. Belcher, thank you again for your digital agility on that. We apologize for that technical difficulty. Hello, Lisa, Stephanie, and Will. How are you guys doing?
Doing well today, Elaine. How are you?
I'm awesome. All right, let me know if I can help you with any type of screen share, and ready to go. Lots of questions in the chat, and I know that you guys are jumping in there as well to help answer those.
All right. So, Elaine, can you just verify for me that you're seeing my screen at this time?
It looks beautiful. Thank you.
All right. Awesome. You might recognize that artwork at the top of the screen. I think that was your handiwork.
I love it. It looks great.
We just kind of stole it. just try to continue with that theme through NTI 2.0. And so understandably right now, I'm Stephanie Mills. I'm our project leader for IT3, which is Innovation, Integration, and Information. We have 3 different branches. Dr. Belcher's here, who's our CIO of all 3 branches. Dr. Lisa Revel is here with us, who is our Executive Director of Technology Integration. I think that's what it's called. You can correct me if I'm wrong. And William Pierce is here, who is our specialist of technology integration on our integration team. So that's who's joining you here today. And I just quickly, want to go over, I know we have a limited amount of time, and I know that all of our schools right now, the folks who are hearing this are probably a little overwhelmed. So what we're trying to do at this time is to try to create a toolkit, okay? And William and I have kind of taken point on this and trying to take pieces from everywhere. And what I'd like to do after seeing some of the comments is actually add a form for feedback on the site. So right now, if you'd like to, this site is live. It's jcps.me/device toolkit, all one word. jcps.me/device toolkit, all one word. I will post this to the STC Speak. I think this, Dr. Belcher has arranged for this to go out with Dr. Polio's communication on Sunday. And by then, hopefully it'll be even more beautiful for you. So if I'm coming to this page in schools, I know you're a little overwhelmed. We're gonna try to help you get as much resources, front loaded as possible here. But getting prepared is where I would go first. This device distribution plan that Dr. Belcher just shared is at the top of every single screen so that you can quickly access that. But what we've also built in here is kind of a workflow. Like first, I'm going to get prepared. So here we have building your team, and you can click on each one of those, and you can view those resources in a larger format. Asset scanning and management permissions. This is one I really want to hit with everybody who's on the show here today and watching. We need your help identifying folks at your school who will be the inputters of the data. So if you could go to, when you're on the site, go to getting prepared and go into asset scanning and management permissions, and then clicking this sheet, we need for you to go ahead and put 2 people's names there who you want for us to send the information to about ITAM, the system that Dr. Belcher just reviewed with everybody. ITAM will be that inventory management system. We'll overwhelm everyone and give everyone that information all at once. But we want to help you get there, and we're going to do that. We're going to follow up with whoever names you put on that sheet, okay? So feel free to jump in there and do that. Chromebook preparing for distribution. So one of the things that we need to do is go through our schools and actually just see what's viable. Things have been sitting there. Some of you may have already been doing this. That's awesome. So you really want to focus on is making sure that those devices get turned on, that the right adapter is with them, that any kind of like sticky notes with kids, usernames are peeled off of there, and that we actually go through a full power wash of that device. And you can get to those directions or instructions by clicking there on that document. It's just page 2 of that slide. But one other key point that I want to point out here is that we want a quick hardware check. If something's not right with that device, get a ticket into us as soon as possible so that we can get help out there to pick that up and fix that device so that it can be back in circulation ASAP. So please check out that preparing for distribution. Schools request from IT. Here's one that you're going to want to know about. When you're going through your school, and those of you who will be using ITAM, we're going to take you through looking at what's available in stock versus your requests. We will help you through that. We're here to support you. But first, when you're going through that plan and you've got these devices, you want to make sure that you're kind of keeping an inventory of what you send out for repair right now, so that you can compare that against your in-stock devices and say, okay, you know what, I'm going to need 20 more hotspots, and I'm probably going to need a few more Chromebooks. We want you to submit a ticket for that. I'm not going to read through all of these. There's a lot of content, but please do. And before the end of the day, I will put a feedback form up here so that we can make sure that you're telling us, hey guys, I think if you added this, that would be helpful. And we'll absolutely take that into consideration. So now I'm moving down to, you feel free to look through getting prepared and then device distribution. Again, the plan is at the top of the requesting a student device. So this is the page that you'll want to look at if you want to request a device for a student and help them, or help a family get to the place where they can do that. Remember, that will happen Monday morning at 9 a.m. So we're not there yet, but the information of how we're going to get them there is already on the site for you. Also, and thank you to William, he's our bills lead for the district. So he has 11 schools under his care for that program. And I guess I can't call it a program. Those schools. So for those 11 schools, William is our lead for that in the district. And he has some really great knowledge and background for this device distribution, because they've done this with several thousand devices away. And he's helped you out here by saying, here's some supportive materials. Here are some ways that you can maybe do these things. Again, I'm not going to read them to you. But please go through here, and the advantages of, pre-assigning those and having them ready to go. And then the advantage of just doing a live assignment. If you have any suggestions or you have any wins through this, we want to hear about them. So please let us know. Also, the Device Assistance Program End User Agreement and Terms and Conditions are here in a QR code format. Absolutely use that. We have some things up our sleeve as far as Chromebooks and being able to put those in startup tabs as well, so families are aware of what those agreements and terms and conditions are. But you can use these and utilize these at your schools. So instead of handing out paper or, paper transfer, you can simply have them scan a QR code, or, you could print it out and hand that to a family. But we, is the least amount of touch possible is what we're going for here. Take you through the next part of the site, the repair and recovery. We haven't quite got to the recovery part, and we're still working, and you can see we're buzzing with ideas. We're going to fill this out by Monday. We're going to have some other resources up here for you about what to do during NTI 2.0, and we're working on that. But while you're going through your inventory at your school, kind of back to this, what you do during preparation, and it's pretty much just put a ticket in, and we're going to get there as soon as possible and help you to try to get those devices back into circulation so you can distribute those to your students. Links and resources, here are some things that you might just want to know about our IT3 support site. We're doing a little bit of a facelift on that over the weekend as well, so we're excited about that. ECE assistive technology, that's one of our friends that kind of get they're kind of on an island a little bit. We want to make sure that you know how to access their site, and also there's a link there or a person that you can contact if you have a family in need of that equipment. And so their site is very resourceful. Also, our innovation team has helped to build out these other resources for teacher resource toolkit and the program plan. So those are also linked there. If we're missing any important links or resources, please let us know. But that's our school toolkit. Remember, it's jcps.me/device toolkit. That's how you can get there. We will make sure that this is communicated as far and wide as possible. I don't have anything else. William, is there anything that you'd like to add?
No, Steph, I think you kind of covered everything there. I've been answering some questions in the chat, and anybody that does have questions is more than welcome to reach out to either myself or Stephanie, and we'll be happy to expand upon them and provide some additional supports.
Absolutely. We're here for you. Remember, jcps.me/help. You can submit a ticket. We also offer video chat. We'll be putting our text chat back on there as well. So things are in motion right now for everybody, and things are changing as we fly, and that's okay. We're all going to be flexible. So we're here to help you. I don't have anything else to share today, and we look forward to working with all of you as we go through this process together.
I agree. Thank you so much for our leadership team here in IT as well. I want to make sure that we welcome you if you're just now joining us. Go into the chat and put any of those questions there that you may have for our panel, and make sure that you sign in. If you don't see that chat feature, it just means that you need to sign into YouTube. And while you're there, just go ahead and click the subscribe button, which means you are notified and you have an easier access to our upcoming events. So also, just so we can go over that, here is, nope, that is not the schedule, that is the old one. Let's see, here's our schedule for today, and then if you visit this, you will see the different presentations that we have over, and the toolkit right here, I want to make sure to point that out, is linked right here on the schedule for you, so you have an easier access to that, as well as the presentation that Dr. Belcher was going over earlier as well. All right, so it is 1:30, and we are going to go on to Dr. Isaacs and Sarah Reed about supporting new teachers. And we are excited to hear from you guys. Hello.
Hi, Elaine. Thanks for having us here today.
Yeah, well, thank you for being here. If you need help with sharing your screen, let me know. I'll also be happy to go through any slides that you may need assistance with as well.
Tara, would you just share the slideshow when I'm presenting? Thank you.
Sarah, are you showing the slideshow?
No, I thought you were. Do you mind? Okay.
I'm going to have a video queued up. Give me just a moment.
Okay. Sorry.
All right, you all. Hang on. Happy, what day are we on? Friday. All right, let's see if I can share just a moment. Elaine, where am I looking for this?
I actually have it if you would just rather me do it for you, and you just go ahead.
Oh, that would be great.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Great.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to jump right in, and just wanted to say hello to everybody again today. Good afternoon, JCPS leadership teams, and welcome to our Support for New Teachers session. My name is Tara Isaacs, and I'm the Director for Professional Development and Learning. I'm joined today by Sarah Reed. She's formerly a Kentucky Teacher of the Year, who's also a member of our district new teacher mentoring team, and currently an AIC coach at Coleridge Taylor Montessori School. And last but not least, Erin Wainwright also joins us today to bring in some new teacher perspective since she was just in that role this past year. She is currently working at Simple Elementary. So to just jump right in with our session, the purpose of the session today is to bring some awareness and provide a few supports to the work of administrator teams in assisting new teachers. Okay, on the next slide, the research for teacher leadership and development, it indicates that the more we invest in our teachers, whether they're in year one or if they're spending time working to develop and strengthen the skill sets of a more experienced teacher, either way, when we work with teachers, we know that building up teacher leadership positively impact our culture in JCPS, our learning environment, and it ensures a sustainable workforce. So, in moving on to slide 3, a couple of things I just wanted to make sure we didn't take for granted that you knew already is we at the district level, we provide all new teachers with 3 big opportunities to be supported. The first is new teacher orientation. It's for both new teachers to the profession and new teachers to the district. That actually started up yesterday. This is an effort to introduce all our teachers to our learning culture. And then the second thing is we provide an opportunity for a new teacher mentoring program. It is optional, but we highly encourage new teachers to the profession that they will take advantage of this opportunity. We do make exceptions if you have something unique, as in someone from another country has taught, but maybe first time. We do have exceptions, so you definitely want to seek that out if there's an extenuating circumstance in your building. This is a year-long program. It's comprised of approximately 30 hours of mentor and new teacher kind of collaborative work time. It includes observations and along with structured coaching so that we can ensure the new teachers being helped in what is considered to be their most important and vulnerable times of their career. The third support is we provide a year's worth of PD sessions, structured to focus on topics that the new teachers have said that they struggle in the most, or that they felt unprepared, or they needed extra strategies. Which brings our focus now to how schools can be of support. So let's start with the video and hear from a couple of new teachers, and let's hear their perspectives.
I feel like my job is trying to not only teach curriculum-based things, but also to be a life coach for them and to unlock their potential.
Jared Reed is a first-year teacher.
I want to make sure these kids learn. I want to be the best I can be at all times.
Chris Pettit is in her second year.
You instead of the
I was kind of
video.
overwhelmed first coming in.
I'm sorry.
We're seeing you instead of the video.
Oh, goodness gracious. I am so sorry. That
It is a great view, by the way.
Oh, well, thank you. Here, let's see if we can just play it. There we go.
Sit down, please.
Often, new teachers are alone and get limited professional guidance.
The average person does not know what it's like to be in this fire.
You kind of feel like you're out in the middle of an ocean by yourself, drowning. Ladies and gentlemen, stay focused. I took it personally, like maybe it's me, maybe I'm just not cut out to be a teacher.
Too many new teachers quit. Almost 50% leave the classroom within the first 5 years.
When you have new teachers come in, you put a lot of training into them, so you want them to stay around.
High turnover costs the nation $7.4 billion a year.
Turnover of teachers is really a crisis situation.
Kids have a relationship with the teacher, and when they lose the person they were connected with, it hurts them. Not just losing the teacher, I'm losing those kids.
We don't want to have teachers out on an island and they don't have any direction. We want to keep our teachers.
Mentors like Trinika are the solution. In Hillsborough County, every first and second year teacher gets paired with a mentor.
How's it going?
Going great.
This is my 13th year in education. I have 14 first and
Oh, no.
And when they lose the person they were connected with, it hurts them. I'm not just losing the teacher, I'm losing those kids.
we don't want to have teachers out on an island and they don't have any direction.
First and second year teacher gets paired with a mentor.
How's it going?
Going great.
This is my 13th year in education. I have 14 first and second year teachers.
I went to college on a baseball scholarship. When we had batting practice, our coach was a stickler and trained me out of my bad habits. Ms. Thornton is my coach here. Ms. Thornton is my mentor.
Only the best teachers are chosen to become mentors.
Once they're selected, they go into a training program that really helps them to become good mentors.
I'm sitting in my class trying to teach, and it'll be just like an outburst.
But you're gonna get a negative number.
Does she normally wear sunglasses in class?
If it's not disruptive, then I'll kind of let it ride.
Okay. She is running the show.
You're gonna get negative 25. Oh, you're gonna get 125.
So what she told me to do is to get them more involved in my lesson. Oh my goodness, good job. Okay, now.
I come in and do classroom observations, questions that the students are asking, that the teacher is asking, the behaviors, how they're interacting with each other.
She's like really good. Like she sits in the corner with the laptop and she gets every word. I don't know how.
I just gather evidence. We look at the evidence and we talk about what could have improved the lesson or what went well in that lesson.
You're like CSI for teaching.
Yes, I am.
Crime scene investigator.
That's true. I like that.
All right, so Dr. Isaacs, we apparently were having a little bit of technical difficulties with that, and I'm not sure what was going on, but let's let everybody know that that is linked into your presentation, so they can take the time to really watch that as well, because it is a very powerful video.
Thank you, Elaine. And just to everyone in the audience, it's a really good reminder. It takes us all back to our first year of teaching, and we all know that nothing looks like what it looks like today and what we've all been through in our past. It's a powerful video to start conversations and just kind of bring you back to what that teacher is facing. Sometimes their first time out on their own, first time holding down a job, a profession. And with that, I'm going to pass the mic to Sarah and let her talk to you a little bit about the frame of mind of that first year teacher and how we might be able to support.
Okay, so this is the teacher emotional roller coaster graph, and this is a brick and mortar teacher emotional roller coaster graph. With NTI, there's probably a little bit more anticipation at the beginning of this year than last, because our new teachers don't necessarily have the schema of NTI and the amount of information to prepare for NTI. So while our new teachers are in that anticipation mode, they can quickly go into that survival and disillusionment. We do not want our teachers leaving the profession, especially now. It's really hard to find those new teachers, and because you're in those hiring roles. So what a mentor does is it bridges the anticipation all the way to reflection, because they're moving into what's called a student-centered coaching role, where they're goal setting, they're co-planning, they're teaching, they're monitoring progress again, and having those reflective conversations. Do we want to move to the next slide? Tara, I'm going to throw it off, send it back to you.
Oh, Tara, sorry, you are muted.
Your mic.
There you go.
Thank you. Okay, so what we have right here is, this is looking back at a snapshot of data from a previous year working with new teachers. And what you see is some growth from semester 1 to 2 in the perceptions that our principals shared, principals and mentors in working with new teachers. And although that we see that the highest needs of new teachers are the yellow color, and you can see from semester 1 to semester 2, the gap, it widened just a little bit, but we eliminated the middle support. So whether we have an intensive group, we can see definitely the progress of the blue area enlarging to show that as we work strategically in coaching and mentoring and working with new teachers, we are making progress, but it does not eliminate the issues entirely. That is a work in progress. So that's the first thing I want to point out, of just the progress and benefits of making sure that we add that additional structure of support. And then on the right of your screen, this is a survey that all new teachers coming into JCPS receive. It's basically a way for them to register for new teacher orientation. And we asked just the question of, what type of support, as you're entering into our district, what kind of supports do you anticipate needing that first day of school and throughout the year? And as you can tell right here, there's just a couple of comments. I'm not a new teacher, but I would appreciate a mentor. Another one says, I hope to get advice that will help me grow in this profession, getting tips from veteran teachers. And then the third one, they're looking for support in handling difficult, unique situations. They have training, but they want to make sure that they can anticipate being ready for some things that aren't covered in what their background was in student teaching. So you kind of get an idea. They're sometimes very specific and sometimes kind of general, but it gives us an idea of where they are mindset-wise when they come to the district. And one of the things that we've done in collaborating with human resources, for those of you who know Dr. Marco Munoz, he's taking the survey feedback we get and reaching out to the schools in which those teachers are at to let them know, here, this is what's on your person's mind right now. Can we find a connection to make sure they're ready for that NTI environment? So a couple of things I just wanted to point out there, and I'll tag back with Sarah.
Okay, Dr. Coleman reached out to Dr. Isaacs to create a support list, and they went and brainstormed what you have in front of you. Various departments have looked at the document and given feedback. While it's a working document, please use it as it's been created for our schools and our new teachers' needs in mind. Like support number 5, provide a good virtual schedule to share with all teachers. And my favorite one is support number 9, engage the intentional planning of self-care. NTI is, as we prepare, it takes a lot of brain capacity to pay attention to everything that you're going to do. And not only that, but we have new teachers that will want to be perfect. So we just have to be mindful of that, encourage them to take that time and move away from that computer. Next slide. Having a school level induction that mirrors the work of the district is doing as another layer of support for new teachers that you can think about doing in your buildings. This is a graphic that was shared at CTM, Coleridge Taylor, so that teachers could see the difference between mentors and a buddy. So mentors are all the new teachers coming in from the colleges are considered new, so they get a mentor. But we also have some new to from other schools, new to from other parts of the state, and new to from other states coming in. So we want to assimilate them into the culture of CTM, so they are assigned a buddy. But the buddies and the mentors, they also need to see how their capacity building structures are the same or a little bit different. So this was shared in the presentation. We're at this section right here. Dr. Isaacs has the new teacher mentoring registration. I believe this is on PD Central and it's on the principal priority page. But you'll want to think about who do you want mentoring your new teachers in your the new babies. So once you have that, you can share the mentoring requirements and have those new teachers sign up for those registrations. I know last night, because I'm in charge of working with CTM's new teacher induction program within the school, I sent out letters, emails to the mentor-mentee partnerships, and I also gave the new teachers this link so they could directly sign up. We also right now have a teacher testimony, and that is Miss Wainwright, and she is coming in from Semple Elementary. She was an alt cert. She was at CTM, and I mentored her through the program. But she's going to really talk about this perspective and the needs of that new teacher as they move through NTI. Erin, would you like to share? Unmute yourself and share.
Thank you, Tara. So that mentor-mentee relationship is very important to first year and even second year teachers. Your mentor helps you sift through all that information, all the resources that are coming in. You can really lean on your mentor for that support. And it's so important that you ask questions and always just go back to your mentor, because as a first year teacher, there's so much coming in. They can help you establish relationships with people in your building, establish relationships with your students in your class, give you strategies for that. Also helping you reach out to families. Having that mentor-mentee relationship is really important. And during NTI, we're kind of doing something really different right now. So you're really gonna need that assistance from a mentor who can just tell you, hey, slow down, or hey, push forward. Maybe relax a little bit. Don't try so hard to be perfect, because you're gonna make mistakes. So I've really appreciated my mentor-mentee relationship, and I think it is a great program that we're offering, and I'm all here for it.
Okay.
Dr. Isaacs, if you are talking, just make sure that you unmute that mic.
Thank you. We're ready for our next slide. This is our last slide. What we wanted to make sure you knew was there are levels of supports in our district already available. The district is absorbing a large chunk of it. You have the option of the district working with the school in the mentoring program. And then our new work for this year is focused on really helping schools to differentiate the needs of their induction program to meet the needs of their staff, while also having some foundational items that are consistent across every building. And that's the work that we're gearing up for this year. This last slide right here is just giving you an idea. This is our core, an informational slide, but it's our core team who work to support new teachers through our district mentoring program. We also work very closely with Dr. Marco Munoz in HR. He's often boots on the ground support. He makes sure to visit new teachers in their classrooms to talk with them. He's oftentimes the difference between one staying or deciding to leave the profession. And so between the people that you may or may not know, across the top you see myself. The second person is Jennifer Colley, who was in professional development and learning for several years. Cheryl Bibby, who is a member of Curriculum Design and Learning Innovation. He is also a part of the mentoring core team. And then Charlotte Ivy, who used to be in professional development and learning, now a science instructional lead. And then Sarah Reed, who's on our call today. These are the people that are primarily designing a lot of the work that we do, and it's in collaboration with many of the people in your building that are on the coaching or have expressed interest in building this program. We are constantly evolving, and I'll stop there and see if Elaine or anyone on the IT3 team have questions or things we need to follow up on. We'll make all of this available to you, and apologies for the issues with our video today.
Tara, do you want to share one last thing? We're creating that new teacher Google site.
Go ahead, Sarah.
Okay. Yeah, some of the things we have in plan for this year to support our new teachers in schools is to have a new teacher Google site. And also I wanted to mention when the mentors go in through the mentoring program, if they did it last year, they'll go into an experienced mentoring program. And new mentors will go in the new mentor program. So mentors will not get the same training. We're always going to be building on that training to really support that student-centered coaching model.
Excellent. Thank you very much. A very special thank you to Sarah Reed and Aaron Wainwright. We appreciate both of you being here today. Elaine, do you have any questions that have been generated in the chat room that we might be able to address?
Yes, we absolutely do. So we've got, when new teachers sign up for the new teacher orientation, how will they gain access to the different modules? And John Rock had the same question. He just wanted to know what questions will be answered as far as for them access to the modules.
Okay, so when they receive their letter from Human Resources offering them their offer pending paperwork, there's a link to our new teacher orientation saying, hey, we'd like for you to sign up for this. That same letter that they received has an attachment underneath it that was hidden when they first received it, but it's unhidden now. So that same letter has the entire new teacher orientation schedule. And if on the next question, I actually will pull that up. Or Elaine, can I impose on you to pull that up while I'm talking through this? Do you have time to pull it up?
I do, actually. I have time. So the title of that was New Teacher Orientation, if I'm correct.
And you can find that on the principal priority page. It is in the center column as an FYI, and it's highlighted this week. I wrote protocol and put a highlight on it. But if you click on that link, it takes you directly to the letter that all new teachers receive, and then you can look at the entire itinerary of what is mandatory, what is optional, and employees have 30 days. And for those of you who are thinking ahead, our launch for new employee orientation, that will be probably in the next 2 weeks. We're trying to get through new teacher orientation and our flex days first.
Absolutely. I am pulling that up right now because it was just on a different account. So if anybody has any more questions, make sure that you put that in the chat because we'd love to answer those. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen.
So while she's pulling that up, there's essentially 3 ways that they'll be notified. Number one, by the letter that you see at the top, where they can see the link and see their sessions right underneath. The second, it's posted on principal priority page, where you could send it directly to them and say, hey, time to go. The third way is on Monday, anyone who has signed up for new teacher orientation will receive like a no reply email that reminds them, hey, in case you've not seen this or heard, here is your chance. And so they can use that week, next week, non-flex time or non-flex. They actually will have a choice between non-flex hours, flex hours, or if they just want to do it on work time and get no credit, but there's some options for them. Yes. All right, Elaine, do you mind to kind of, okay. So by the way, while we've got Elaine on here, giant shout out from the virtual world. Elaine has been the mastermind with taking what is in my head and lassoing it into a vision. But since we're able to do a virtual or a summit in person or a conference, we've done it this way. You can see the very beginning are our welcome sessions. It gives you the length of time to the left, the topic, followed by the presenter, and then the video link. When you click on the video link, you have the power of pause to start and stop. But what I want to draw your attention to at the very top of the slide that Elaine has up is there's a Google form set up, and it's categorized into sections so that as they complete a section, they can go into the Google form and upload their answers. The first is just some preliminary information. It is open to people with Gmail or Yahoo or any kind of outside account, because we know that a lot of new teachers do not have their JCPS account just yet. And I'm certain they don't know how to navigate Control, so we try to eliminate that barrier. So once we have their information, when the accounts catch up with them, we'll go back in and make sure that we credit it to them appropriately. The other thing I've heard people are doing is they just have a pen and paper and they're jotting down notes by each session so that they can answer the questions towards the end. So you see there's a human resources section divided up into basic information, benefits, and then also receiving a computer. We have best practice sessions, followed by a second round of best practice sessions. And then we have I think there's a content one below the beginning of the year, things to know, kind of like Twitter setup, how to begin NTI 2.0. We have a teachers panel, and then we have content area. We look, how do we take someone coming into our district and immerse them into our learning culture? There's so much for schools to remember, and because we're not seeing people on a daily basis in person, we wanted to capture as many things as possible. And then if you'll go, if you'll back up, that was exactly where I wanted to go, Elaine. This is just some people behind the scenes. If you'll back up to the one that had the thank you slide, please.
Oh, okay.
Okay. That's just some people, just a shout out to a lot of people that aren't listed in the program that do a lot of work behind the scenes. And then these are links. You heard today from Dr. Coleman at 9:30 about the foundational 5 things. That will be covered during mentoring this year. We will be making sure to be very intentional with covering that information. But here's some other links that just immerse them into things that are happening in our district so that they are a part of our culture. And then the very last page is, for those of you back in the days of science fairs, you had a booth that you traveled to kind of learn about what each person, or think about an exhibition of learning. Each of these links are the equivalent of you going up to a person from that company and finding out what they have to say. So if you clicked on one, then it would automatically draw up a picture and a video of what they offer and how they would be interested in collaborating with your school or teachers or programs. So that's the new teacher orientation in a nutshell. If all this information goes through or you don't remember it, you can always contact professional.learning@jefferson.kyschools.us.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. I know that even though we can't be in person, this is another opportunity for our new teachers to really dig into our JCPS culture and knowing how everything works. And as a new teacher, it's extremely hard to even sit and grasp all that stuff. So now they're actually able to use the power of pause and go back and review anything that they need. So I love it. I love it. All right, well, it's almost time for our next session. And again, thank you everyone who just helped us with this last one. We have up next English Learner Supports. And we have Von May, Michelle, Amy, and Molly that are joining us. And how are you guys doing?
Hello, Elaine. How are you?
I'm good.
Hi, Elaine.
Hey, I've missed you guys. It's good to see you virtually, though. So
Molly is not with us.
Oh.
Molly had another meeting, but Molly was instrumental in helping to create these slides. So we need to give her a shout out for creation, that she is meeting with Miracle Middle Schools right now.
I love it. I love it. One more thing. Anybody that's joining us right now live and just tuning in, just go ahead and introduce yourself in the chat and let us know who you are representing at JCPS, as well as any questions that you have, because just like for our students, if a student asks a question, generally that helps us all learn a little bit more, or it's, hey, I had that question too. So just put those questions in the chat, and if you don't see it for some reason, how you can get in the chat, just go ahead and sign in the top right corner of YouTube. And I'm excited to hear all about what you guys are sharing, and let me know if you need any technical help. I'm here to help.
All right, so Amy told me that I'm the producer today, so that means I'm the screen share, okay? So I'm going to go to the 3 dots in the upper right-hand corner, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
And
then a new
share
window will
screen.
open up, and you'll click on that on your screen. You got it, and then you'll navigate to your slides, press present, and then the closed captioning, of course, is at the bottom. The CC.
And I love that you guys do the closed captioning. You know, that is an ESL favorite right there.
Absolutely, and it
So
helps.
I'm going to put it extra large.
Yeah, you can absolutely do that.
At the top. All
Okay.
right.
Perfect.
All right, so I'm Michelle Shorey. Friends, do you want to talk?
Oops, Amy, you're muted. There you go.
I just realized that. I'm Amy Whitehead. Hello, I'm with Elementary. Hello, I am Romany Edmonds, and I am with Elementary ESL Resource 2.
Eli, are you saying hi?
Oh no, he just dropped out. Womani, I apologize for mispronouncing your name. That is a beautiful name.
Oh, you're fine. Yes.
So Eli is going to be joining us right now in a few minutes. He's going to pop back in. I bet he had a little tech glitch, but this is an interesting slide. Michelle, how many ELs are in JCPS?
So what do you guys think?
Oh.
Any administrators brave enough to guess in the chat?
That's a great question.
We are giving you all wait time.
English language learners are in JCPS. They're all
Nobody.
like,
Bomani, do you want to give them the answer?
Sure. Why don't you go move to the next slide? So this is what we ended the year with. We ended the year with 11,776 English learners. And this chart reflects the number of English learners that we tested in January with Access 2.0. And as you can see, our numbers are steadily climbing, and we are almost at 12,000 English learners in JCPS this year.
And do you guys notice that growth from last year, especially? It's amazing. We were incredibly busy last year. Sure.
Very busy.
All right, next, we would love to know how much you know about the top languages in JCPS. So we actually have 150, or actually more than 150 languages and dialects in JCPS, but we have 5 dominant languages. And Bomani put, some environmental print here. She gave you a clue. So can I get any guesses on those top 5? Trisha Bronger, do you know?
we have 112 people that are watching right now, and I think they're all being quiet on us.
That's okay. You know what? English learners are quiet too. We're used to it. It's okay. We're used to wait time. Elaine, what do you think? What do you think the top 5 languages are? Are you brave enough to guess?
Yes, I would believe that it would be Spanish.
Yes.
And I believe that maybe French.
Okay. I speak French, but
it's not. It's not. Now, are we including English in this? I know that's English language learners. They're not including. It's all out people who are not speaking. Okay, so we've got Arabic.
Yes.
Okay. Oh no, I'm gonna mispronounce some of these.
I'm seeing in the chat we have Farsi, which
that's a good
guess, but no.
Yeah, that's a good guess.
So we're going to give you the answer in 3, to, Mandarin, nice guess, but no.
Arabic. I was going to say Arabic. That was the one I was like, what is that? Yes, Arabic. But maybe
and so, Bowman and Amy, you guys jump in, but this is really interesting because these languages shift, from time to time. We have different communities come to Louisville. So we've seen this Nepali number much higher in the past. And, just the Swahili language, that is a newer one to our district in the last few years. That one has really climbed. So that changes. Amy, have you seen a lot of changes like that too?
Yes, exactly what you just mentioned. Swahili has hit the top 5 in the last couple of years. And then, Bowman, what is it? Over 50% of them actually speak Spanish?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, most of our L population is Spanish speakers, and the list that you see there on the screen is actually in order from the most to the least, but there are top 5.
Oh. All right, so because you all are administrators, we know how important case law is to you. So we wanted to remind you that case law has really affected the scheduling, funding, instruction, and the rights of English learners nationwide. And so as administrators, we handpicked these 6 cases as something that as cases that we think you should really be familiar with. Irina McGrath and I made this graphic, and we have a link to this in the presentation so you can check it out. But these are important cases that you'll want to know all about.
So for the intake process for L families, the intake process is still very similar as before. The only difference is that the interview is conducted virtually, and our ESL assessment team is not able to administer the initial placement test that usually gives us the English language proficiency level of our students. Therefore, when you look in IC and you search for that student, you will notice that we will still mark the student as an English learner because of their home language survey, but you will also see highlighted in yellow there a comment that says pending assessment due to COVID-19. So that will kind of give you a clue that this student was identified during COVID-19. Okay. So the goal is that once we resume in-person setting, the ESL Intake Center will follow up with families and the students and administer that initial placement test. And the students will also participate in access if we have access in January.
So administrators, if you guys have any questions as we're going along, please put those in the chat. We are monitoring the chat, and Eli is hopping in and out, kind of helping us with questions too, but we're happy to answer those as we go through.
Okay. We will still utilize the continuing digital PSP platform. Here is the basic operation of how that works. First, we create the PSP. So ESL teachers create PSPs for active ESL students, and counselors create PSPs that find or aid students. All English learners, no matter what their status is, get a PSP. ESL teachers and counselors can consult with classroom teachers or content teachers or big course teachers like us if they need help creating PSP. After that is done, resource teachers will review and approve the PSP. This is also where if there are corrections needed, we will consult back with the creator of the PSP and ask more questions if we need to go further. Once PSP is approved, then it is ready for principals to sign. Okay, and as soon as that happens, the content of the PSP will automatically populate in IC. This is where you will find the service model type that is used to deliver English language instruction. It will also be where you can find the instructional and the assessment accommodations for the students. So providing accommodations and implementing them, especially with MAP testing around the corner, it is important that I see the accommodations and implement campus reflect the most current accommodations. And that can only be done after the principal signs ESP.
So it looks like we have a couple questions in the chat. Is it okay to intervene here?
Sure.
Okay. One of the questions is, what is the process for supporting the required home language survey requirement? And that comes from Tricia Bronger.
Which is a very good question. The district is actually putting that form as part of the required forms when everything goes live next week for parents to access. So I believe that form is going to be in the parent account with other required forms that our parents have to complete and submit.
It's important to note too that it's its own standalone form this year, whereas in the past it's been embedded on the back of the enrollment form. So just so you guys are aware that it is a standalone form this time.
Oh, that's exciting. Also, we have another question from Charles Atkinson. He's wondering about BAIs and staffing.
Okay.
And how we compare to last year.
As far as BAIs and staffing, I guess that, can you provide more like clarification and like what type of question that is?
Sure.
I'm sorry, I can't see the chat.
Charles Atkinson said, any word on more BAIs and ESL staffing? So I think he's asking if we'll have more support this year.
Oh, okay. Yeah, which is another good question. I know Eli and Dr. Abrams, which is our assistant soup, is actively advocating for additional staffing. And I think Eli said that he can answer that in the chat as well.
He did. Thank you, Eli. He's jumping in. Of course, like we all, love more help, right? So yeah, the other thing, you know what's really exciting, ladies? Last year we moved to a digital PSP, and before that we were all on paper. So what if we were still using paper PSPs? This would be really, really hard. So I'm glad we made that move.
Yes, it was a good move. But so principals are aware, we normally last year, we emailed them to let them know when there were PSPs ready to be signed. Is that going to still be the process this year, or do we have an update or a notification that we know of?
Yeah, we did not have an update on notification because the IT department has been really busy with other projects. But I think we're going to continue that same system. The big batch is usually before October 1st because we know that we have to get it done within 30 days of enrollment. So that's the big batch. And that's why a lot of PSPs are being approved or being created, approved, and signed in like September. But as far as that, once we get IT back, in collaboration with us, we can look at some of the wish lists that we ended the year with last year and see if those have been addressed.
All right. Thanks, Dominique.
Okay, so we know that ELs are entitled to receive English language development or ELD services. So what that means is that the instruction is specifically designed to support English learners in developing their listening, speaking, reading, and writing skills in English. So here are some suggestions that we have for how ESL teachers can deliver services during NTI. So across all levels, you should see your ESL teachers holding regular synchronous ELD lessons. That is super important for language development. They need that time to interact, to practice, feedback. If they're only consuming the content via reading or listening, we can't check in with them to figure out what support they need. So they really need to be having that synchronous ELD time. What we also want to suggest is that they create asynchronous language development lessons with language scaffolds like screencasts, visuals, language frames, things of that nature. We also want to make sure that they are following up with the English learners with frequent and personalized feedback. And then two distinctions in how this looks in elementary and secondary. ESL teachers in elementary can partner with classroom teachers to support scaffolding classroom assignments as well. But in secondary, the way the scheduling works, ELA and ELD is delivered simultaneously. Is that correct, Joe?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, you know, it's interesting thinking about NTI with English learners. You know, we know that especially newcomers really crave those synchronous lessons, and we want to offer that as much as we can because our students need to practice using the language in an authentic environment. They also just need that community, you know, especially, you know, we have a lot of students who are newer to the country learning about school. So we think that's really important for newcomers especially, but all English learners, those synchronous lessons. What do you ladies think?
Absolutely. We definitely need to step it up from the spring with more of those synchronous language development sessions.
And all three of us are huge fans of screencasts, and we know how, you know, how helpful screencasts can be. We're learning from it, you know, somebody's going to watch this later on and learn from us. So, you know, we can embrace that power of pause, can actually watch a video multiple times. And the beautiful thing about screencasts with English learners is that they can slow down the speed to about 75% so that it's a little bit more comprehensible for them. Also, in YouTube, there's a little wheel where they can change the language. It will auto-translate to whatever language they're able to read. And there are more than 100 in Google. So if you're lucky enough that you have a student who's literate in his or her first language, you know, just using YouTube can be a huge, huge support or huge scaffold for English learners. So we really are asking for those screencasts too. And one of the easiest things you can do from a tech perspective is after you record your screencast, upload that video to YouTube, and then all of those functions will be there. And I know a lot of people get nervous because they don't want people to watch their YouTube videos, but you can list them as unlisted. And then so students can find them, but not everybody on the web can find you teaching, you know, photosynthesis or whatever you're doing.
And to compare that, Michelle, it is very similar to your Google Docs or your any Google platform that's anyone with the link can view. And so it's really just only if you have the address or the only way you can get it. So yes, it's not where anyone in the world can find it. So perfect there.
We love it, Elaine. There's so much in YouTube that just really helps ESL students that I would list that as my top tool for ESL, YouTube for sure.
Okay, so another thing we want to make sure we share today is how to access the language support when communicating with families or with students. If you're in secondary, teachers may directly contact students. So our language services offers interpretation services over the phone from your computer. For the phone one, that can be a regular landline or a cell phone. Or you can actually download the app on either your phone or an iPad. The steps for how to do that are included on this infographic, and we do have that linked for you as well. We want to make sure that we point out that we are not to share this information with parents as far as how to access it and use it. Any parent advocates, community partners, it's only for use within JCPS by teachers and administrators. We think our opinion is that options 2 and 3 from your computer or from your phone are the easiest once you get them set up and activated. And we highly recommend maybe even taking some time with the staff while you have them all there in front of you and having them either do the steps to download it and activate it on their computer and bookmark it, or go ahead and have them download it on their phones. And if Michelle, if you'll click, we'll show the app for what it looks like. The app is actually called, you would have to search it in the App Store, Google Play. It's called Enrichment Insight, and that's actually what the app icon looks like. Very easy to use once you set it up. It may seem intimidating at first, but it's very, very easy. In fact, I wanted to show you really quickly. Let me know if you can't see this. So once you have the app, all you do is click the language and you have the option for video call or phone call, and it calls right away. Very simple once it's activated.
Heather just made a comment in the chat too that I want to make sure we address. And Heather's just reminding us that if we are sharing videos outside of the domain, if we're posting videos to YouTube, make sure that students are not in those videos. That's an excellent reminder. And the videos we were talking about, Heather, were actually just teacher screencasts of a walkthrough of the lesson. So I'm hoping that that would be fine. But again, we were talking about a teacher, walking through an assignment and doing the scaffolds, and then perhaps showing a model for students just to view. So let us know if that would be okay. You know what I like about this app, ladies?
Do tell.
I like that parents get to ask questions. Because years ago, when I would call the, language services office and say, could you have a BAI call so-and-so's house and say, he's doing a great job or he forgot his homework, the parents never got to ask any questions back. So we were really just dumping information on families. But I think this app is so respectful because parents get to ask questions, and there's a two-way conversation that is beautiful. And I think that is a much more complete conversation than what we used to be able to do. You guys agree?
I agree. And another thing to think about too is that, we may have parents who aren't literate in their home language. So although translating documents is nice, this really, like you said, it gives them that power to actually ask questions and not have to find someone to read the document to them or read the communication to them. So that's important to keep in mind as well.
Yeah, and I've heard really positive feedback from teachers who use the app as well. First they might be hesitant because, they feel like they're not doing the steps correctly, but once they're on it and they use it and they're familiar with it, it's a great way for them to have that open communication with the parents and not having to rely on another third person to be interpreting for them. Because, and plus we have more languages through Language Line that we don't have in the district. So that allows, parents to be able to engage with parents in other languages that we're not able to represent in our district.
All right. And we did get confirmation from Heather that we were talking about YouTube the right way, as long as they're not students and the teacher is doing the screencast, we are good to go. And she said we're awesome. So we're
Well, thanks, Heather. We think you're awesome too.
We do.
Okay, so this probably looks familiar to you guys. So part of the NTI 2.0 plan includes how leaders will ensure teachers are supporting English learners and their families. So on the slide, we have linked for you resources, that very first link there, to help your classroom teachers plan support in their lessons for the English learners in your building. This can also be found on the NTI portal. Once that goes live, I'm not sure if it's live at the moment for 2.0. And then the second thing we have linked there for you are a set of sample answers to the questions that are listed on the slide there. They're just general samples for how those questions could be answered or strategies for how you could ensure that those things are happening, but they can definitely be personalized to fit the needs of your particular school and the amount of English learners you have in your school.
Did we offer language supports?
I'm sorry?
Did we offer language supports on modeling by presenting them with sample answers?
I think we did.
I'm sorry, who did I interrupt?
Oh, you're fine. I was going to ask Domini if there was anything more to that she wanted to add. Just wanted to make sure they knew that those answers were there for them to look at. Want to show them?
So you covered it, Amy, exactly what you said. When we are done with this presentation, if it's not up yet, you will have a link to the whole presentation, and within that, you'll have the hyperlinks to those documents in the JCPS digitalchannel.com schedule.
All right, so who are we? So we want to help you, and we're here, and one of our very favorite things is to go to schools and support teachers and students. And so even though we can't do that right now in a brick and mortar fashion, we can support you digitally. And we would love to support you with trainings on language development, lesson design, thinking about technology supports for English learners. We are all very passionate about that. So this is our team, and this is probably a little small for you to see. So we actually, when you get the slides, you have a link to the district handbook, and you can see who's available at different levels. I'm Michelle, and I work with high school, and my partner in crime is Drew Courtney. Yep. Amy Fomeny, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so we are elementary resource teachers. Right now, we are 8. There are 2 in Zone 1, 4 in Zone 2, and 2 in Zone 3. And Amy is Zone 1, and I am Zone 2.
And our fabulous middle school resource teachers are not here. They're in their meeting right now, but Molly and Elizabeth are also available for middle school. And our director is Eva.
And you will also notice too, once you get the slide deck, the support we provide. So there's a list of, there's hyperlinks in that document as well that you can click on that will take you to more resources for you, your school, and your teachers.
And there's more. We also have some other resources for you hyperlinked. Last spring, we built an NTL communication site. It needs to be updated. We just came back to work this week, so we're working on updating things. So you can find some letters to families, some general information, and we're going to be updating that because right now our office is working on an NTI 2.0 letter for families, so we'll take care of that. Also, we have instructional resources at the elementary, middle, and high school level. And I can speak about the high school site. Drew and I built some sample lessons so that teachers can see what are some good digital scaffolds for English learners at the high school level. And then also professional learning. Amy or Vomini, do you want to talk about our
feedback? I really enjoy the mod. Based information about English learners. For example, one of the modules is about just the reader access course, how to read them, understand about them. Another module is about newcomers. We have one on refugees and immigrants. We also have one on backpack for backpack success skills and how you can adapt that for English learners or scaffolds to support them in the work. So again, I think after today, they will be erased from PD Central because it ends at midnight. But then we're going to reload them for the next probably 3 or 4 weeks. And so this way more teachers and ESL, not ESL, but just JCPS staff will have access to them if they weren't able to access them during the summer weeks.
And there's one more thing I want to tell you all about. It's a fabulous conference called Virtuelle. It's been going on for 4 years, and it is just fabulous. It's all about virtual or distance learning this year and working with English learners. There are some of the top presenters in the country, Larry Ferlazzo, Carol Salva, amazing experts in the field. All of the sessions are free. They're recorded. It's like Netflix now, and you can go there. And we have a link for you right there. So we hope you'll check that out as well.
Definitely. I definitely encourage that, especially if you are in a building that doesn't have an ESL teacher yet. Those will be great for your classroom teachers that have English learners in their classroom.
Larry Ferlazzo's keynote is the best thing I've seen in a long time. And it was about 20 minutes, and it was a treat. I sketch noted as I did it. I got out my notebook and my markers, and it was such a fun thing to do. So highly recommend. Well, it is 2:28, so our time is ending, but we just want to thank you as administrators. We don't think that people say thank you to administrators enough. So thank you, Eli, and thank you all of you out there who are really striving to create educational places where kids have opportunities and where there's equity and we're being culturally responsive, because we just really appreciate you and know how important that is for our kids. So thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Well, that was a wonderful session, and I want to remind all of you out there that are watching, this is of course on demand, and so that you can share this with anybody that wasn't able to watch it live, as well as you can pause it and rewind it. And I love, Michelle, how you said that we can make it at a 75%, because then that way, if it just goes a little too fast, we can actually just slow it down for ourselves and then really understand and process what everyone is saying. So thank you for that tip, and I love it. So.
You know what else, Elaine? You know what I do sometimes?
What?
If it's boring, I speed it up to 125%.
See, these are great tips. These are great tips. And sometimes we have to do that. But this is also, that's a digital agility that we need as well and our students will need. Hopefully not to speed up, but
sometimes.
But to use. I know, sometimes. Well, it is. You ladies have a good afternoon, and I hope to see you back next week. As we continue this session. It's 2:30, and we have some new folks that are joining us. So our next session is ECE updates with Kim Chevalier and John Roberts, and making sure you guys are on here with me. Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. Long time no see, and I'm excited to see your beautiful face this afternoon.
Well, thank you. I definitely needed that. That was awfully nice. It's been a long Friday, hasn't it? I know you guys have been on all day.
That's okay. That's what we enjoy. We enjoy doing it and helping out our fellow JCPS team. So I'm excited to hear what these ECE updates are, and let us know if you need help sharing that screen. I can help you, or I can even do it for you if need be.
Did we put those on? Did we put anything on? I know, I'm sorry, I didn't send you like slides.
Right, I do not have that currently hooked or linked, but we will get that to.
That's okay, don't worry. I mean, it's more just conversation that I would like to have and some updates. So I would like to introduce John Roberts is here. I see his wonderful face. And I would like him, he's new to our ECE team, so I would like for him to introduce himself.
Hey everybody, I'm John Roberts. I am going to be the new elementary ECE assistant director. And I'm here, I'm in the Van Hoos building on the 5th floor. Thrilled to be here. I know many of you, I've got to work with many of you in previous lives. And I'm just thrilled to be a part of JCPS. So thank you for having me here today.
Great. Thank you, John. As you know, that the ECE department went through a huge reorganization for over the summer and started off this year with, with the reorg. And I know we've kind of sent a few things out. I'm trying to be very picky about what we send out to make sure that you're not getting bombarded with information. But our reorg consists of our team now going into zones like the rest of the district. So we have an elementary zone, which John just introduced himself. He is the assistant director over the elementary zone. And we have the middle school zone, which is Angelique Shearer, and we have the high school zone, which is Boyd Dudgel. So each of them now have a specialist that work directly with them. Some of you may already know, most of them have been here at JCPS. In Zone 1, it's Stephanie Blakely. In Zone 2, it's Annie Gooden. Zone 3, it's Tiffany Stiff. Middle school zone is Trisha Hosey, and high school zone is Jackie Williams. So with that being said, we, as far as connecting with your assistant directors and your specialists. That will now be your go-to as far as making phone calls or needing a direct line to get questions answered. So we will also send more information out with phone numbers, etc. But I do have some great updates that are coming, just some upcoming supports for you that I would like to share. The team has been working extremely hard to provide some information and some guidance for all the schools and especially the administrators, because we know it's tough. We know it's tough dealing with behaviors. We know it's tough understanding the law for special education. So we want to make it as easy as possible for you. The one big issue that we have as far as behaviors, we are creating an administrator's guidebook to behavior for ECE students. I think you're going to be very excited to see it. It's currently in the process. It's going to be like a flip book that is easily accessible. So you could leave it on your desk or, we'll give you multiple copies of it. It's going to be a hard copy as well as a, online copy. And it's going to be something if a student is having some behavior issues and it's an ECE student, you can flip right to it and say, what do I do? What are the first 3 things I need to do? So it's quick and easy access, and that will be forthcoming hopefully in the next 4 to 6 weeks. And as we move forward in the ECE department, you're going to be seeing these guidebooks, which will help in different areas of special education that the district is having some trouble with, that we can just get right on it, quick access and quick support. It will also have your team members and a quick phone numbers that you can call for support. And then also what we noticed over, this is the start of my 2nd year. So a lot of watching and seeing what kind of supports we need both at central office and in the schools. And what we noticed is those record reviews, we do a lot of them, but we don't share as much information as I think we can with you. So we have worked with Florence Chang and her group, and we have created a dashboard of all of our record reviews that we will be doing and continuing to do every month. So you'll be able to get on a dashboard and sort information however you would like and see that information whenever you would like. So that is forthcoming. We also have some revised procedures. As you know, we have the KAR regulations that we must abide by for special ed. And then we have our JCPS ECE procedures, which mirror the regs. But as we move forward, we did notice that as far as data collection has been something that has come up over the past 6 months. And it is in draft form currently, so we're hoping it goes to the board in August. And the only major change in the procedures is as far as related service personnel, they will be graphing data, not taking data on their students, but graphing data on those graphs no less than once a month. Before, it used to be in the original procedures at JCPS, it used to be twice per grading period, and that was not enough to show parents if students are making progress. And then we kind of changed it. We didn't make it define it enough for related service personnel. So we now defined it for related service personnel, OTs, PTs, speech, etc., that they only have to graph that data, that point on a graph once a month. Of course, more often is better. I'm a big fan of data, and data makes determinations. So, keep doing that data, but we will let you know and send those out and update the website when the new ECE procedures come out. And also on the procedures, we tightened ESY of how we do extended school year services to provide our staff and our teachers a little more guidance on how to work with that in an ARC meeting. So those are some just basic upcoming supports that we're working on. We also have a ECE department-wide action plan that we're working on. With that action plan, we're developing with our assistant director team everything that we are doing to support the district, the team, the CAP, the schools. So as we move forward and get that set, I certainly don't mind sharing that with you. I want to be very transparent with all the schools and all the administrators. So that will come your way soon also. The 5th day count, I'm going to go through some things that may not be, that I know is questions in your head or emails that I have gotten. Always, as you know, you can call or email. We will do our best to answer your questions. I'm constantly in contact with KDE. I was talking to them last Friday afternoon for a couple hours, just trying to work through some information, especially through NTI. So I will get to that. But the 5th day count, you know, we will still do that. That is something that the ECE department will look at. Again, it's going to look very different. So, you know, can that change? Can we adapt? Yes, I would guess. I'm learning right along with you with this 5th day count. So, but it will happen, and we will do it. Just so you know that. And then upcoming is the IEP training for ECE teachers. You know, the board was very generous to the ECE department and allowed us to have mandatory IEP training to also pay the teachers to do that. They can either get the credit or PD credit or get paid. So I'm excited about that. We've had, gosh, I want to say over 600 teachers that have taken it during the Diverse Learners Institute that we put on. That was all virtual. So there are links. I did put those links. It's self-paced, the IEP training. There's a part 1 and part 2. I did add that to your training document. So as teachers take that training, make sure they document and let you know. I did try and work with PD, Central, and Tara to try and figure out if there's a way that we can sort information for you about how many teachers took the training, etc. And there's just no good way that we can do that. That wouldn't take us 100 hours to do. So you're going to have to talk to your teachers and get with them to see if they have taken the training. And then also the ARC training, which is coming. I'm excited about that. We have partnered with Black with that, and it will be a live webinar. So you need to ensure that you have your implementation coaches and your backup chairs attend ARC training. That is a mandatory CAP item, along with the IEP training. And then other mandatory CAP items are your, what I'm learning again, remember, so we did this verification of alignment, and that was per the CAP. That was proof that the IEPs were implemented in your building and the staff were viewing them and understanding them, etc. So we have changed that because verification of alignment is kind of an odd name, I feel like, and changed that to assurances of IEP access and implementation. And it will be for the principals to sign off on instead of getting every single person in your building to sign and send that to us, and it will be electronic. So that will be coming out, and it's just for the principals to assure that they have taken steps to make sure their staff knows how to access their IEPs and ensure that they know how to implement them. So when I was assistant superintendent, I did that in our opening day for the schools. When I would walk through in the opening day, that was just something I talked about for 5 minutes in our meeting to ensure that all staff knew how to access that. And then our student accommodations and support form, which I think JCPS it knows that as the ECE one-pager. Again, I know there's other one-pagers with other departments. So this particular one, as I've been told, is for bus and in-school security monitors, and make sure that and bus aides, so they understand that what the behavior plans are of students with disabilities that are riding their bus. So We will provide a memo out for that. Again, this will not happen. We will send the information, but you do not have to do this until we get back into the brick and mortar, obviously, because students are not in school, are not on the buses right now. So there's no hurry on that at right this moment, but you will see it coming out. So you're not blindsided by it. We also did that one last year. And then and that's a cap item. And then for most of you that have been with us, I can't see everybody that's here, that's on, but we had the comparison files, which, with our cap, by the way, fantastic job by the district. The ECE department, we have the final cap, which is the big district cap. And we did talk about the IDEA cap last year, and that we're working on the IDEA cap. So we have all those systems in place. I feel extremely confident that we're moving in the right direction. However, with our IDEA cap, if you recall, we talked about those comparison files that KBE comes in and does. What that means is those student folders for ECE, they randomly choose 30 folders and they do an audit on those 30 folders. So they actually take it through that record review and do an audit. And we have to have 30 clean folders, files, 100% clean, before they will release us out of our cap. So this is the last thing we're working on for this particular IDEA cap. And we've had 2 sets taken from us, and both sets, all 30, had issues with them. So we are going to work on our next set of 30. They will randomly send us student IDs, and we will have to upload and turn in all the files from Infinite Campus, et cetera, for them to run that through the audit. But I just wanted to give you some idea of what we're finding wrong in the files, just so you know. Ultimately, it's manifestation determination reviews that they're not happening when a student is suspended, and that during those, when you're deciding as an ARC team that if you're checking, like in the IEP, the team is saying that yes, we have all these behaviors, and then in the ARC meeting, the conference summary is talking about behaviors, and then the MDR, you're checking that it is not a manifestation of their behavior when clearly it is. So just ensuring that the paperwork matches what you're saying in the ARC, and that you have the data. And missing data is a big piece of that. So a lot of missing data they're seeing in files, and that we're not documenting in the behavior tab appropriately. We're finding errors in just plain documentation. So again, that behavior guidebook is going to help with that. We'll have clear guidance and information on documenting an IC. We just got to be careful. That's about all we can do, is be very, very careful and ask questions, and we can help. And then finally, with some NTI updates that we have, as you know, as we were in NTI 1.0, there is no relief from the feds at all for implementation of IEPs for students with disabilities during virtual learning. And a dear colleague came out from the feds in 2016. Of course, I found and dug that letter out. And it talked all about virtual programs, and it said exactly the same thing that they were saying today, that there is no relief and that you have to fully implement during virtual learning. What does that mean? What this means to you, that how you can help support your teachers and your students and your parents, is ensuring your ECE teachers are providing all services in the IEP and connecting with kids. They have to connect with kids. Okay, so, and just making sure. Now, we have found that there are very few, like when I say few, very, very few services that can't be provided virtually, such as orientation and mobility for a student that is blind that has to walk around the school with a cane. So very few services, as far as related services, et cetera, can't be provided virtually. So we're providing more resources for you to help the teachers know how to implement those. And also, we are going to purchase some more online resources that our staff can use, especially our related service personnel, to help support the parents at home, the teachers, and the students, to make it a little bit easier than it was in NTI 1.0. I would say the biggest thing during this NTI 2.0, we have received a lot of phone calls and a lot of emails about, my kid just can't do this. We just can't have, they just don't know, can't participate using a computer. They shove the computer away, or they just don't want to. That's not an option. And there are ways that we can make sure that the child participates, and we have to show that we're trying our best. Now, we might not always win the war, but we can document everything that we've tried, and I can brainstorm with the best of them out there to tell you, how many different ways that we can provide services. So just tell your teachers that if they hear or have not connected with the student, then call their specialist, their implementation coach, and say, we haven't connected, and a district staff will help guide the ARC. So you're not alone in this. I know it's going to happen, but what we would prefer is make sure your implementation coaches and your teachers know we have to call an ARC if that's happening, and we will have district personnel supporting you through that ARC. Okay? So collect data, call an ARC, and we're continuing with ARCs. I am so proud. I can't even tell you how wonderful the virtual ARCs have worked. We are the best in the state at virtual ARCs, and I think a lot of it came from the support from KDE and GLEC providing that ARC training video. But we did over 4,700 ARCs virtually from March 3rd to the last day of school. It's unbelievable, it's fantastic. And we heard from a lot of schools that virtual ARCs worked and parents participated more, which is fantastic. So even when we get back into the brick and mortar, I don't want to take that away. I think that's very important for our staff, for our parents to participate, etc. So keep doing them. Again, there's all those training videos. And then lastly, the ECE compliance document for NTI that we had last year. We have updated that for NTI 2.0. That will be everybody's go-to, including my staff. Like, we look at it every day, we update it every day. That is your compliance guidance document. Almost every question that you have will be answered in that guidance document. So there are questions that we don't have answers to. We'll help you work through those. Just give us a call. But that is going to be critical in pointing your teachers and your implementation coaches as far as documentation, Infinite Campus, etc. And then one more thing that we decided, I know I keep talking, I'm going to stop for questions, but is we are not asking for any copies of any ARC meetings to come to the records room at all. We're actually going to stop it forever. As long as the documents are good in Infinite Campus, and then they print those out and then have the copies, like the originals where the signatures are, that goes in the student's file at the school. The implementation coach does not have to send copies of the ARC meetings to the record room. We don't need them. So if they have questions, we have not announced this, and once during the ARC chair meeting next week, we are going to state that, but you're the first to know. So just keep that in the back of your mind. And then finally, I want to thank you. We have made huge strides in JCPS with students with disabilities. Everybody has worked together. The schools have been phenomenal. The administrators have put up with me, have put up with the team saying, we can't do this, but we can do this, et cetera, et cetera. and have called, and I'm so lucky to be here, and I'm lucky to be part of JCPS, and we are moving forward. I know sometimes it feels very negative with special education, but I'm telling you, we have done some wonderful, wonderful things. So thank you for supporting the kids, all the kids at JCPS, and also for working with me and my team. And I really think this year is just going to be a little bit easier. So every year I'm hoping to provide more services and support. So, questions?
You did awesome. There are not currently any questions, but there are a bunch of people that said thank you so much for this information. And like we keep saying, all this it will be on record, so that you don't have to worry about missing out on something that was informative and you needed to make sure that you knew. So make sure that you go in and check out this at a later date if you need, and it's just going to be archived. So was there anything else that you needed to let us know, or? But thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for letting us on.
Thanks. And John, welcome to JCPS, and well, glad that you're here with us.
Thank you.
All right, so it's 2:54, and at 3 o'clock is our next session. I'm just going to go ahead and jump over to our schedule here. And let's see, as you see, a bunch of the hyperlinks here are the presentations that they used to allow and to supplement you on making sure that you know this content, as well as it being on record. And so we have GT services that are coming up with Stacy Edelman and Jesse Thompson. And that is going to be up next once they join us here. While we're here, I just want to also talk about going and making sure that you are subscribed to the JCPS Digital Learning channel. And the reasoning behind that is because next time we go live or we upload an informational how-to video, you're going to be able to see that in this logarithm that shows up when you go to YouTube in your home screen. So if this button up here says subscribe and it's red, go ahead and click that, and that just means that also you'll receive some notifications if need be to those uploads as well. And you can have that easy reminder to share with your staff and even some parents. And I'm going to point that out in our playlist tab here. We have a new NTI 2.0 parent and guardian or family playlist that we're going to have for our families. So make sure that you point that out in any kind of communication that you have with our families. And we want to make sure that we support them just as much as we support our teachers, our administrators, and our students as well. So in just a moment, we will have our others. Whoa, you're there. Hello, Stacy. Oh, and Jennifer, you're here. Hi.
Hey there,
Good
afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'm here to support you. If you need anything to help share your screen and help ask questions that are live on the chat, just let me know. And if are you guys going to, which one of you are going to share your screen?
I'm going to share.
Okay.
And because you sent me nice little directions on how to do it.
It's okay. The top right corner has 3 dots in this window.
Yes.
And then a new.
Now, if I'm good. Do I do my entire screen or application window?
I usually do my entire screen just because it's a little easier for me to navigate. But if you.
Okay.
But whatever you see on your screen, we will be able to see as well.
Got it. Okay.
And while you're navigating that, Stacy, I'm going to remind all of our viewers that in that chat, write those questions down so that we as a team can help answer those questions. And then also introduce yourself. Let us know what school you're representing and who you are so that we too can can get to know one another. All right, Stacey, it looks beautiful. If you will, go down to the bottom of that, and then see this closed captioning right there? Just turn,
Yes.
It'll turn yellow once you click on it.
Okay.
Yep. And
Got it.
You'll have to click allow. Yes, you got it. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, good to see everyone. I know we're standing in between you and the weekend right now, so we hope that we provide some good information that will be helpful to you. And my name is Stacey Edelman. I'm Director of Federal and State Programs for JCPS. And joining me this afternoon is Jessie Thompson. She is our new Gifted and Talented Supervisor. So this is her big debut, your first time getting to see her. And also joining us is Jenny Stith, who is our Gifted and Talented Instructional Coach for the district. So something that schools need to know is that even though we're in a virtual setting, we're engaging in NTI 2.0, we do have an obligation, and in fact, it's required by law that we continue serving our identified gifted students in these settings. We do have to implement their gifted plans and provide them the appropriate services that go along with the area of giftedness in which they're identified. But the good news is that a virtual setting is situated perfectly to serve the needs of our gifted students. As I said, it is required by state law that once students are identified, they receive those services. So we are here to support you in being able to serve those kids in the virtual setting. Also, some reminders about gifted work. GT work is not something supplemental. It's not necessarily extra. It combines core standards with the kinds of gifted services that a student needs, depending on his or her type of giftedness. And we also want to remember that GT work isn't more work. It's different work that's more appropriate for the gifted learner. In the NTI setting, we will be providing services and documenting those on the Gifted Student Services Plan. This plan itself is not new for us to do, but we are working on getting these in Infinite Campus. We know it was challenging at the end of last school year when everyone was at home trying to figure out how to get these GSSPs out to parents. And we are working to be able to have this available in Infinite Campus, both to generate, to edit, and then also communicate the gifted services plans to parents, as we're required to do several times during the school year. Now, Jessie's going to take over and talk a little bit about some gifted services options that your teachers and your school will be thinking about.
So I've listed all of the various gifted service options that are on the GSSP. However, I've bolded the services that are most conducive to NTI 2.0 at this time. Collaboration and consultation are a perfect opportunity for teachers to talk to one another, whether you have one of our itinerant gifted resource teachers, or if it's an instructional coach coming in to help with those gifted students. If we have teachers talking to one another about how they can meet those gifted service options, and not just academically gifted students, but collaboration and consultation specifically can be used for our VPA, our leadership, and our creative gifted students also. That's the time that differentiation can come into play. If you're doing a project-based learning activity, you can have different ways for the students to present their information, and you might play on their VPA strengths, or you might play on their creativity or leadership. Independent study is another fantastic option for NTI 2.0, because that's when the kiddos have the latitude to explore one of their gifted characteristics and really get to understand themselves as a learner more, but also being able to do those core standards. Of course, we have the advanced program, advanced placement, and honors in high school. Those are another fabulous service option for our GT students. Now, that doesn't mean you can't try resource services or possibly acceleration, but the KDEA, when we met with them on Friday, were saying that their strongest recommendations are the collaboration, consultation, differentiation, independent study, and advanced and honors while we are in this virtual setting, because it will be the easiest for teachers. Ways that we can service our GT students during this NTI 2.0 time. I'm going to be talking with teachers on the teacher session for the digital learning channel about enrichment activities, choice boards, and project-based learning. Again, these 3 ways incorporate beautifully with the GSSP, and they can use the differentiation, they can use the collaboration, they can use the consultation when doing an enrichment activity, which could be part of the regular core curriculum, but they might be expanding it a little bit further for those GT students, or they might be, again, presenting them with a different option on how to present what they've learned, especially with our VPA creative thinkers and our leadership goal students, because that gives them the opportunity to play up their giftedness while still participating in that regular setting. Choice boards are a fabulous option. They do allow for the students to pick their strengths and to play up on their strengths when showing how they learned a concept and how they want to present that concept. Project-based learning is a fabulous option. You can incorporate more than one academic standard during a project-based learning lesson, but again, you can also incorporate those service options for our gifted students so that we can make sure that we are following their GSSP. Miss Jenny has been working on a fabulous Gifted and Talented website where we are going to be posting all of our resources, information, links. We just posted the videos from the Gifted Institute that happened a couple of weeks ago over the summer. When I speak with teachers for the teacher training side of it, this is where we are going to direct them to find their resources. This is where we will be putting up resources for our teachers to go to. So it's all in a central location. Stacy, if you hover over the home part, there are 2 pieces. The Gifted Professional Development part of that is where the videos from the Gifted Institute are located. There are a plethora of options for you to look through and resources that you have available for you during this NTI time, but also when it's not NTI, when that finally happens. So this is where we are going to point our teachers to in order to find those resources.
Anything else you all want to highlight about the Gifted site?
On the top, there is the general intellectual ability, the specific academic ability. If you click on each one of those links, there are resources embedded in there for that particular giftedness. There also talks about identification, what it is, the different tools that you can use to help identify those students. We do have some of the digital learning channel videos that occurred back in the spring also uploaded on there. So again, this is where we're going to point our teachers to, because it's got most of the information that they're going to need to make it through NTI 2.0, but also for the future.
All right.
And for additional teacher support, we are going to have our teacher session on the digital learning channel. Jenny and I will be presenting at that time and explaining to the teachers how collaboration can work in the NTI setting, how consultation can work, how those bulleted service options can work in an NTI setting. And we will be giving them resources also to help them so they have something to take away and immediately be able to start with that planning and be ready for that first day of instruction and not have to worry about what am I going to do? How am I going to meet my child's GSSP? We also have the Gifted playlist on the digital learning channel. We have all of our videos from last year, and then we will be uploading our videos for our ongoing Monday PDA sessions on the digital learning channel. We're going to be doing training specifically for creativity during NTI, specifically for leadership, specifically for our academically gifted students, for our VPA students, for using choice boards the most effectively. So we're going to instruct our teachers to be on the lookout for those ongoing Monday PD sessions on the digital learning channel. And then of course, we are here for you. You can request at any time for a consultation service, for just, hey, I need a resource for this right now. What do you have? We are more than willing to, we're a phone call away, a text away, an email message away. We can send out information, we can send out links, we can send out guidance. So we are here for you. So it's not just the website, it's us as people also.
Do we want to pause for any questions right now before we go on?
The
only question I see is about getting all of this linked to the teacher backpacks, and I said I would just follow up with them later. So maybe Stacy, you could talk about that.
Yes, we are spending a lot of time trying to make sure that teachers use that backpack as a resource, and we will have this updated so that we can have any of the new resources we have ready in the teacher backpack. All right, so we want to hear from our schools. This is primarily for the principals, but we have a Google form that we're going to ask you to quickly fill out. We need to know updated information about who your gifted lead will be for this school year. We also need to know who your advanced program contact will be. And then we have some questions to find out from you. What do you think your specific needs are for your teachers, for your school, so that we can be sure we're being responsive and providing the support that you all need. This, if Jesse or Jenny, if one of you could link it into the chat, that would be great. But we are going to send the slides, and we're going to send the link to this forum to principals in an email after this, so we can make sure that we have the up-to-date information.
And Stacy, I'll go ahead and do that for you, since the back channel is the only way to kind of put in a link.
Okay.
So you guys don't have to worry about that, Jenny and Jessica. I will take good care of that so that they can fill out that Google form for you.
Thank you. Now, we know one of the big questions for this year is going to be about identification. And normally we would start in October with administering the COGAT test to start with general intellectual ability testing. Those things are on hold right now. We're in conversations with KDE and with other districts to try to figure out what an appropriate way to identify students if we're doing it from home would be. We're also working with our testing department to explore any kinds of opportunities. The good news is we are administering MAP virtually this year. We will not use the fall MAP to identify students for specific academic aptitude, but if we are still at home when it comes time to administer winter MAP, then at least we'll have that as an option to do so. And then we are going to work on guidance for schools on identifying students for leadership, creativity, and visual and performing arts while we're in a virtual kind of setting. So guidance is going to come. That's why it's really important that we have your current gifted lead contact information, because that will be the primary way that we send out these kinds of information out to schools. Coding of GT students. You all worked so hard last year to identify students in all 5 areas of giftedness. Some of them you were able to get coded into Infinite Campus, but a lot of them you were holding on to your lists. So it is time that coding can begin. The window opened August 1st. We need to have all of your students that you identified last school year in all areas of giftedness completed. All of that needs to be entered by September 30th. And Jesse will be offering coding trainings for any of your school staff members who need that training and need to know exactly how to enter that data. It's important that the person doing the coding does attend that training, because we find a lot of errors, and this is the data that gets uploaded to KDE. So we want to make sure that we get everything entered appropriately and kids are coded the way they need to be. And the last bullet on this slide is that gifted services do start the first day of school. So that's when students who you have identified are starting the school year as gifted, and their services can begin on day 1. So in summary, here is the checklist. These are some things that are coming up, and this is what we would ask principals to go away from this and do. One is the link is coming to you. We want you to fill out that Google form so we have appropriate contacts, and you have an opportunity to tell us exactly what your needs are for support for getting school started. Next is the GT coding, which must be done by September 30th. Make sure you know who is responsible and check with them and make sure that they have a plan for getting trained, that they have a plan for getting all of those students coded by September 30th. A third item on the checklist is the gifted student services plans. Do you know who is responsible? Are they familiar with this? And you can let them know that we are working on a process to do these in Infinite Campus rather than trying to do hard copies like we did last year. And then the last is to make sure that your teachers know about our GT resources, that they attend one of our trainings that's going to happen week after next. It'll be the week before school starts when we have a gifted session on the digital learning channel. We also have the playlist that was mentioned with other videos and our GT website that teachers can access and get all kinds of ideas and strategies and resources that they can use for their classroom. So those are the main things that we would ask that you do as a follow-up to this session today. And as always, when you have questions, when you need help, if you need us to come consult, talk with your staff, work with your gifted committee, any of those things, we're happy to do. We're just an email away. And these are the email addresses for the folks that have been on here with the session today. See, we're very efficient in the gifted office. So we are finished early, so opportunity to ask questions here.
Absolutely. And as those people think about those questions, they have given you lots of kudos in the chat to let you know that we really do appreciate you and this is really beneficial information. So thank you very much for this. So we're going to wait for a little bit to see if there's any questions on the chat. If you are watching and you don't see that chat capability, make sure that you are signed in the top right corner of your YouTube account. It's not just your actual Chrome browser that you need to be signed in. It's actually YouTube as well. So just make sure that it says sign in is not up there in the top right corner. Well, ladies, is there anything else? I don't see any questions, but of course you are more than welcome to hang out and just and see if we get any questions here. But I'm going to go ahead and show this virtual calendar right here. We just finished up our GT services updates. And
Elaine?
Yes.
Can you share our gifted website link in the JCPS Digital Learning channel? Somebody was asking and I didn't do it right before.
Oh, that's okay. Yes, I can. Oh, so if they go here, correct, they'll click this. And in your presentation, was it linked on a specific
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we're just going to walk them through. There's that Google form that we needed them to fill out. And yours was?
It's on slide 8.
There it is. Okay, so they can get that here as well, but there is that beautiful website. Tons of information that you guys talked about here. So that I'll just take this and put that in our chat just so that they have it, but we'll walk through that again. You can just go to our schedule, then go to slide 8 on their presentation and it's linked there as well. So good. Let's see. All right, so it is 3:16, almost the weekend. We only have a little bit left, but we can go here and look at some of the things that are going on. Like you said, we do have a GT playlist that you linked, and there are other playlists, tons and tons of playlists that we had that helped start at the NTI 1.0, as well as are going to continue here at NTI 2.0 for the next couple of weeks that you'll see on that living virtual calendar that we just showed. But these all give you that power of pause that we always love to say on jcpsdigitallearning.com. That way you can share it as well as revisit it as many times as you need, because sometimes it takes a little bit of time for this information to sink in, and then you think, wait a second, what did they say, or what was I supposed to remember about that? So this to replay it is awesome, as well as we're modeling with our teachers and then our students how this Power Pause will benefit them as well. All right,
Elaine, I was wondering if anyone wanted to share in the chat if they have specific questions that they're hearing from their teachers, if there are specific concerns. If they want to share those with us now, we could be sure that we address some of those in the teacher trainings that we'll be finalizing and planning for teachers. That would be helpful. We want to be responsive and provide schools with the actual supports that they need.
So I just put that in the chat, just are there any specific concerns that you're hearing from your teachers and staff? We would love to hear that, especially since it's so hard that we're not face-to-face, but yet we are next best thing, which is virtually. So we want to make sure that we give them the floor, just like they would in a physical setting, so that they can ask these questions too. Absolutely. Not quite seeing anything yet, but we will wait for just a minute. And like I said, we'll just hang out here, and we've got a little bit of time before our next session starts. So I want to also point out on Twitter that the Digital Innovation Team has a hashtag JCPSDigIn, and once you use that hashtag, you are going to be able to showcase some awesome things that your schools are doing digitally. And what we learn together, we work smarter, not harder, and we're breaking down those silos of not being able to just shout out to a few people, but we shout out to our entire teams here. So we've got lots of awesome things going on with that hashtag, and just go ahead and check that when you have a chance, as well as let us know what was your most beneficial thing that you learned today, and share that link to others if you need to let others know where to find it. So I don't see anything. They're just saying hello out in the chat world, but let's see. So, well, believe it or not, we still have 138 people that are watching, so they're all hanging with us, and just to see what we're going to continue to learn here. I hope everybody's staying well. Are you guys all healthy in your homes and doing well?
Yes, absolutely.
Elaine.
Yes.
Hi, Elaine and Stacy. Why don't you guys go ahead and show next week's schedule?
Okay.
And kind of give everyone a preview of what we have in store for teachers.
Awesome. Yes, that's a great idea. Sorry, Heather.
And Dr. Edelman, you can kind of talk through each day maybe and
absolutely
forecast what we're planning, because we've been working hard on that behind the scenes. And I just want to give a big shout out to Stacy. This is the first time I've really gotten to work closely with her, and it has been such a joy preparing NTI 2.0, and she's such an awesome leader. So shout out to you, Stacy. Thanks for everything.
Well, right back at you, Heather. Thank you for that. So, Elaine, do you have it ready to share, or do you want me to share?
They all actually can see it. You just kind of can't see it behind the scenes. So,
okay.
But I'm on. I know it can be tricky back here on this side, but we're looking at the week of August 10th. So
yes, don't look at August 17th. That one's not finished yet. But we have worked very hard to ensure that we are aligning this training schedule, these sessions, with what is in the NTI plan. Because the key word for NTI 2.0 is consistency. We need to we've made a promise to our families, to the community, that we're going to have some consistent practices and expectations across our schools and within our schools. And that was the thinking that went into a lot of the preparation of the NTI 2.0 plan. And so we also wanted to be sure that we were providing the right supports so that schools and teachers were ready to implement the things in the plan. And so we have worked very hard to align all of that. At the top going across, you can see that each day has a theme. So the sessions for that day are going to fall somewhat in the theme. And these themes came from sections directly in the NTI 2.0 plan. So on Monday, we left open the first 2 days some blocks of school time, and we know you're going to need other opportunities for school time, for PLC meetings, for teacher planning, and that's why all of these sessions are recorded and will be available for folks to watch later. But we're going to focus the first day on curricular and instructional resources, the ones that are identified in the NTI 2.0 plan. There are going to be some great sessions there that are going to be really beneficial for our teachers. The second day, we get into those recommended core digital tools that the district is supporting and our teachers are going to be using so that our students and our parents know exactly which tools will be used and what to expect with that. So there are going to be some exciting ones there. Some teachers may feel very comfortable and proficient in some of these, but they never know if they're going to learn a new tip or trick with one of those. On Wednesday, we have additional curricular and instructional resources. And this is the day that we have a lot of our vendors for the programs that we use are providing the actual technical assistance and training on these. And then on the fourth day, we're going to focus on assessment and grading. We will be providing some information for teachers on how to provide descriptive feedback, use rubrics and performance assessments to make some of those shifts to a standards-based grading type philosophy. And also we're going to have some training from Amy Mueller about Infinite Campus Gradebook and how it'll look this year and how it'll be set up. Then Friday's a flex day, and so some teachers will be off, but they may want to do some additional learning. So on Friday would be a great opportunity to catch up on those live sessions that you missed because the recordings will be there and available for everyone to see.
And I happen to know that Dr. Isaacs is working on a Flex Day PD menu that you can have as well, and you can check that out, I believe, in PD Central. So that will help if you need some more hours for your students or for your teachers, and then or if they need some additional PD time. So,
and I will say, even though we're still pinning down the individual sessions for the week of August 17th, those topics and themes are just as important. We're going to have additional instructional strategies and methods. We're going to have a lot of trainings on serving the needs of the whole child. So those will be coming from Dr. Averett's Academic Supports Unit, as well as Culture and Climate. We're going to have a whole day focused on meeting the needs of all learners. So we will get more into the details for teachers about supporting English learners, gifted students, students with special needs, meeting the needs of families, homeless students, racial equity. So we're going to continue to have great sessions on that second week.
Awesome. Well, you have an awesome team here, and it looks like our next guests are here. How are you guys doing?
Very well, thank you.
Good, thank you.
Awesome. So you ladies here are going to talk to us about the MTSS implementation in a virtual setting. And I know in the chat we just talked about getting that presentation linked into that schedule. So we are working on that behind the scenes, and so you will have access to that as well as the this recorded for you so that you can go back and make sure that you haven't missed anything else. So all right, so I'm just going to go over real quick. Make sure that you put in any questions in that chat. If you can't see the chat, just log into YouTube. While you're there on this channel, click subscribe so that you can get information easily and readily handy in your stream for you to be able to see any new coming things that we've uploaded or any live events. And I'm excited to learn and see and to hear from everyone else. If you ladies need help sharing your screen, just let me know. I'll be happy to assist.
Yes, please.
All right. Donna, are you going to be sharing your screen, or is it?
I think just one of us will be fine.
I will be.
Okay. So in the top right corner, there are 3 dots, and you'll click on that and then say share screen, and then a new window will pop open. And you'll click, you got it. Look at that. Perfect. And we can see everything you can see. That's really the way it works. Yep. And then just turn that closed captioning on. At the bottom, there's CC on that menu. And it'll turn yellow. Perfect. Yep. And allow.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your help. We're excited about this session. And so, welcome everyone. We'll get started in about a minute or two. You are here to learn about the new district MTSS implementation plan. We're happy to have you. Awesome. Thank you so much for your help. We're excited about this session. And so, welcome everyone. We'll get started in about a minute or two. You are here to learn about the new district MTSS implementation plan.
Naomi, if you would just go ahead and I know you're watching the chat right there where it's live, just right click.
Oh yes, you know what?
You're okay, just right click.
Apologize.
You're fine. So this is something that we all actually need to know. At the top, anytime we see one of those Chrome tabs making noise, it's going to actually have a little speaker icon, and if you ever want it to stop talking because you still need it open, you can just right click and mute that tab. So it will help out. And Naomi, don't stress, we got this. You ladies are good to go.
Awesome. Okay, so you are here again to learn about the MTSS implementation plan, and we're excited to teach you today about how to use this in a virtual setting. And so we're going to start with just a little activity, and you should be able to see our screen. And on our screen, you should be able to see the question, how well did your school implement MTSS last year? And so in thinking about this, we're doing kind of a fist of 5. So we can't see you, but fist being, minimally and 5 being the best, you could put in the chat how well you feel like your school implemented MTSS last year. We'd love to hear from you. Just looking to see if we have any. It's new for me to see this in this way. So we're again excited to be here. So hopefully you are able to really consider how well your school implemented MTSS. Can you change the slide, Sandra? And so let's talk about what MTSS really means. And so MTSS is really a multi-tiered system of support. It's really about providing supports to all students on multiple levels. It's data-driven. It's about school improvement. It also includes the professional development that your school offers. And it's not just about academics, but it focuses on social and emotional learning as well. In our department, there actually are 2 MTSS departments in the district. One is in teaching and learning, and that is MTSS academics, and that is led by Donna Lawson. And Donna is on this call and will lead it here in just a few minutes. And then the other section of MTSS, there are actually 3 teams. One is MTSS behavior that's led by Sandra Hensel, who will also speak. And the other is MTSS engagement and re-engagement. And I lead those 2. And so for MTSS engagement, we do the Toolkit work, and re-engagement is really just for middle and high school. And so let's talk about the whys. So 1, MTSS is a law. It is mandated by the Kentucky Department of Education, and it's mandated under federal law as well. This is also really our artifact of how we are showing how we support students through intervention work, but also tiered work, such as Tier 1 for all students. So remember, this is how we educate all students, but it's also part of our KDE corrective action plan. And so we're excited to roll out this new version for you at this time. And so the whys. Why is this important, and how does this relate to your work in your buildings as district leaders, as school-based leaders? So one, it aligns with the equity and the culture and climate pillars. And I would say it also aligns with the backpack of success skills. But we also need to have strong systems and structures to be effective with our students. And so this MTSS plan really aligns, while it falls under System 5, it really does align with all 6 of the systems. And it also aligns with your PLC work. And so we're excited to show you that today. And so what is MTSS? It's just a comprehensive framework that uses evidence-based practices to support all students in their academic and behavioral needs. But a framework means that it can be customized for each school. So it's not cookie cutter where you have to do it this way, but really it allows you to have the freedom to do it the way that you need to support your students. We've changed the name. It used to be an MTSS handbook, and now we're calling it the implementation plan because we want this to be a guidance document that helps you to focus on planning and decision making so that you can determine which interventions and resources that you should implement to support your students. So there are different uses for this implementation plan. There are myriad of ways to utilize the MTSS implementation plan. There are 3 examples given. So for your behavior teams, for PLC work, and for administrative purposes. But you as the school staff will figure out ways to use this to the best of your ability to support your students. Individual teachers can also use this plan to inform them of different school personnel responsibilities for specific tasks or what interventions your schools are using. So this is really going to be your driving force for how you support students in your building. There are 7 components in the new implementation plan. There were 7 components before, but we've reorganized them just a little bit. And so we're excited to tell you that it's not in a Word document anymore, this long 30-page Word document. We've reorganized the implementation plan to be in a Google Sheet. And so in Google Sheets, you're able to see each component via a tab. And we're going to show you that here in just a little bit. But what we've done is we've reorganized it so that it really does follow the PLC process of planning and delivering and then evaluating. And so if you look at each component as we go through, think about this through the lens of the PLC work. The really neat part about this new plan is that we are able to have resources and directions very clearly identified so that you can find them and refer back to them as needed. So on the very first page, it's a little blurry to see, but there is a page of directions. And on that page of directions, we also have resources. And this page is really organized by component. And so under each component, there's a description, and then there are resources for how to actually complete that component with great examples and exemplars that can help you. We've had examples and exemplars in the past, but they were hard to figure out and to find. And so now you'll have that information in blue readily available for you and just out there so that anyone who sees this template can actually access. Donna, that's you.
So this first section is school information, and the focus of this section is school data and sharing with stakeholders, specifically demographics, as well as the protocol to use with collaboration with stakeholders. Basically, this slide tells the story of a school by describing the school community and sharing the vision and the mission. It also explains how this document will be used to implement MTSS systems in the school. It is imperative that every member of a school understands their MTSS system and structure, that they can explain it clearly, and most importantly, that they can follow it. Next, are we on the next slide, Naomi? I mean, Sandra. Okay, the next slide is component 1. It's a collaborative analysis of data. And the focus of this slide is to ensure that school-based MTSS or multi-tiered systems of support and SAT or student assistance teams are identified and that leads are appointed. This component includes an implementation section in which schools check what they have that is currently in place. And there's also a linked documentation section to link documents that are used by the school. We just ask that schools make sure that there's no identifying student information housed in these documents that are placed here. In the cycle protocol section, a school should link the outline of each team's responsibilities and their timelines and their next steps. So as in every component, there is an example resource in the blue box that is linked as well for schools' convenience. And then I can't see, are we on the next one, component?
Yep. We are on component 2.
Good, thank you. So this is component 2, and it's universal screeners and diagnostics. And with this focus, schools are checking the screener that they're using as well as the timeline that they plan on following. There are 3 questions for schools to consider for behavior and academics. What would contribute to effective implementation? What is their plan with the information that they gain from the screeners? And what are next steps for student acceleration? It's vital that we all understand the importance of assessments and assessment data. And we all need to ask ourselves, if we're going to assess, what are we going to do with the data? The resources linked in the blue box include map reports, student risk screening scales, and threat assessment guidelines, procedures, and protocols. And then in the next section, this is component 3, measurable definition of problem areas. The focus of this component is to define problem areas using multiple data points for both academics and behavior. There's a section to link a flow chart that outlines entrance and exit criteria that schools will use for tiered supports, and 5 questions that encourage them to consider how are they identifying problems, and how is it determined when students need supports and to what level they need the supports? What are times that are required, and how are goals set? So there are many resources linked in this section, including decision rules and flowchart examples, also in that blue box, similar to the other components. And then we have component 4, leveled supports, with the focus of accelerating student learning through adequate support and interventions. And what you're going to do here is identify specific learning objectives using assessment data for all of your tiers, tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. Schools check what they are implementing for each tier, and district-supported reading and math resources are listed. Notice that there is a box titled Other in this section, and this is a location to indicate independent choices that a school might make. Resources include tier descriptions and evidence-based literacy and math programs and strategies, also in the blue box. And I think, Sandra, it's back to you.
Some restorative practices, but then they also, like Donna mentioned in the previous one, include that box for other, because you may be doing compassionate schools or PATH or another social emotional learning curriculum. You could certainly put that in there as well. So again, it's identifying what you're doing, and it's indicating how frequently you all are implementing that. And it's for all 3 tiers as well. Component 5 is really a significant documentation for progress of accountability. So this is where you're linking in all of your documents that indicate what you're using to make decisions, what data you're using, what tools you're using, and all of that. One thing we want to make sure to mention is that if you upload anything, you want to make sure to remove any student identifiers, because multiple people have access to this, and we want to make sure that we're not violating any privacy of students, teachers, that sort of thing. So all you want really is to show us templates or show us samples where you've removed all the information with student identifiers. But you're just going to link all this directly into this page here. Component 6 has a couple pieces to it. And part of that is that identifying of pre and post intervention data outcomes, determining how students are flowing in and out of tiers. How are you doing that? How are you making sure that students are getting the appropriate supports that they need? But then it's also, we have built in checkpoints in September, and on the actual plan, it actually says September, not August, because these aren't due until September. And then in December and in May, because like Naomi said at the beginning, we really do want this to be a living document that is utilized throughout the year. So we've built in these checkpoints with some reflection questions and some check-in questions throughout the year, so that you come back, revisit this document, take a look at it, and see if any revisions need to be made in order to keep it accurate as to what you're actually implementing in your building. Component 7 is parent information, parent communication. How is your school communicating to parents when their student needs to receive some tier 2 or tier 3 interventions? When are they going to be receiving, when are they exiting those interventions and just receiving tier 1 support? All those kind of communications, this is the place to link that and to indicate the great work that you're doing with parents. So I want to talk a little bit about where all this is housed. So each zone has a folder or a Google Drive, shared drive. And in that shared drive, you'll see the sample here is zone 1. I just kind of picked on them for this. And in there are several different documents and folders. One is training for principals, and that's the training that principals received in this, and one is training for teachers, because we really do want school leaders to be training their entire staff in the MTSS implementation plan so that they are aware of what it is and how to use it as well. This is where the plan itself is housed, so school leaders can go in and download this template and enter their own plan information. There's also feedback form, because once schools submit the plan, the MTSS support teams will be working and providing feedback for every single school on every single component, and just giving them some of that information on just making sure that everything was done accurately, that we don't think you missed anything, because we want to make sure, again, that this is reflecting the work that you guys are doing. You're doing a lot of hard work. We want to make sure it's reflective of that. We have look-fors. So we have, as a principal, what kind of things should you be monitoring? For the assistant superintendents, what kind of things should they be monitoring? So we have that look-for document in that zone folder. We also have a timeline of when things are due. And I'm not sure if Naomi mentioned at the beginning, but these are due September 15th. And then we have where they're going to be housed. So I'm going to go ahead and show that to you. So in there is this document here, and it's just a list of all the schools in the zone, the principal, the MTSS school point of contact, because that's not always the principal. It might be another administrator or a resource teacher. But once your school plan is complete, you're just going to go into this document and create a hyperlink that you link right here to your school name. And that way you're not having to email it to anyone. You don't have to worry about it getting lost. It's all going to be right there for you. And this is what that zone folder looks like. I do want to take you quickly to the actual plan. So this is what you saw kind of screenshotted in the slide. And so this is that really important directions page that Naomi talked about. And you can see how it goes by component with all of these great resources linked. One other thing I want to mention too is that as you all are completing these implementation guides, we would love to pull some exemplars that we can add. If you do, if you have a form or a document that you think is really exceptional, or that we think is really exceptional, we'll be asking you for your permission if we could use it and link it in here as a resource for other schools to use. Oh, so actually I should have stayed out. And so then there's a couple other documents I just want to show you on this first one, and then Donna's going to talk about the next one. We know that MTSS is a little more challenging in virtual learning. And so we've created a couple of documents. This one here is tiered behavior interventions for virtual learning. And there's a link to it here in the presentation. And if you follow that link, it takes you to this. And what it does is identify for each tier what behavior interventions are still appropriate for virtual learning. And you're going to see that it's a
Oh, I don't know if Sandra knows that she's lost audio, or we've lost audio from her. Sandra, if you can hear us, we for some reason have just lost audio. If you have headphones in, sometimes that's what does it. Can either of you, Naomi or Donna, talk through this tiered academic supports? Oh, it's the
Sure.
AirPods. There we go. Wait, Sandra's working on it. She says it's probably her AirPods that are doing it. Are you
Sandra, I didn't know if you're finished with the behavior or...
Go ahead, Donna.
Okay, so the next slide is the same that Sandra was just talking about with behavior. It's the same with academics. Academic tiered supports can be more difficult, as we all know, in the virtual world as well. So this is just an outline of strategies or ideas or important pertinent aspects, especially in a virtual environment, along with some ideas and linked resources that might be of assistance.
And so now, just gotta make sure you can hear me. We're gonna talk about the Jamboard. Oh, good, I'm not on mute. And so I just put a link in the chat that is a link to our Jamboard, because we have a question for you. I'm putting it in right now.
Do you mind to link that in your presentation? Because actually, unless that's the only way I can get it, because then it won't go live on the chat because of the back channel only allows me to put links on the chat. So I don't want them to miss out on that.
Gotcha. Okay, because I've been putting links in there and I didn't realize that.
Oh,
okay.
No. Oh, no.
So how do we wanted to do an interactive activity.
Perfect.
And so our question was, and so we just need to email it to you, Elaine.
Just go ahead and put it on this presentation, because they have access to this presentation, I believe. Let's see, do they? Oh, it's right Oh, no, we don't have access to the presentation. That's, it's okay. Yeah, you can email it to me. We can do that real quick. And Sandra, are you back with us?
I don't think she is.
Oh, man. Well, she's muted, so I just didn't know if maybe that was it. My last name is ABANATHA.
All right. Let's see if we can do this.
Yep. Oh, perfect. Right there. And if are you going to put that whole presentation to me? You can just click share and do that, and we'll get it real quick.
Perfect. And so we wanted to do a real quick interactive Jamboard to get your thoughts for how do you implement MTSS in a virtual setting. And so those of my resource teachers that are on here know that we use Jamboard, we train on Jamboard all the time. And Jamboard is just a great way to have an interactive board for folks to be able to share ideas. And so on the Jamboard, what we want you to do is add comments via sticky notes and make connections. And so once you get the presentation, it's the last slide or the next to the last slide. And we'd love to see the Jamboard, you making connections on the Jamboard. I don't know if Sandra will pull it up for us.
Do you mind, Naomi, just to click the yellow share and then type my name in there? For some reason, it didn't come in on my email. But if you click share on that presentation, or it's Sandra, her screen is the one that I'm looking at, and it's funny that I thought it was yours.
All right, let me see.
Yeah, just share that whole presentation, and I will go ahead and link it and make sure everybody, and put that Jamboard link on there as well for the chat. And Jamboard is one of my favorite tools. I'm so happy to see that you guys are using it as well.
And we only have 5 minutes.
You're fine. You were fun.
There you are. All right, I just hit send. So hopefully, Elaine, you can pull up our Jamboard for us. We'd love to see folks be able to go on and tell us how they want to use this in a virtual setting. We do have one final activity. So even though we have run out of time almost, we'd love to hear from Vista 5, how well do you think your school will implement MTSS this year? And so that's really our final activity. We'd love to hear, based on we now have this wonderful new tool. And of course, everyone is anxious about what this will look like in a virtual setting when we have synchronous learning. And so how well do you think your school will be able to implement MTSS this year?
All right, so Naomi, it's up there. If they just want to, oh, look at, they're all jumping in, and they are trying to, they're going to start answering for you with a sticky note. How can school teams implement MTS in the virtual setting? And I'm going to go ahead and, oh, look, you got it. There we go.
Awesome. Love it.
I know, it's great.
And so, as you are putting in your activities, this will be shared in this setting, and so you can go back and look at this Jamboard. And so we're so excited that you are going on and adding Post-its so that these ideas can be shared all around with everyone who has a copy of this presentation. And so we don't have a lot of time for questions. We only have about 3 minutes left. First of all, I will say thank you all for joining. We thought we didn't know how many people would actually come and see our session at the end of the day on Friday. But again, we're so happy that that you're here to learn about the implementation plans and know that your MTSS academic resource teachers, your MTSS behavior resource teachers, your MTSS engagement resource teachers, and Sandra, Donna, and myself are here to support you with this work. And so you're not doing this alone. We're here as a resource for you. So please feel free to reach out.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I do see some Post-it notes on there. Not sure if you need to, if Sandra, you have to refresh or anything. Not really sure.
I do. I see a couple Post-it notes. One that says checking in with teachers on academic and behavioral needs, identifying students with behavior and academic concerns, and starting plans as soon as possible. And so what happens is when if you notice, I'm kind of moving things around. And that's what's really neat about a Jamboard, is that you can really just go in, and we could even make connections on a Jamboard. And so I could use my pen and draw and make connections. And so again, we were happy that you joined us today, and happy to present this content to you. Again, feel free to reach out if you have any questions.
Thank you, ladies. I love that you interactive, and we have to be, as Dr. Coleman says, taking that chance, and just like as our teachers will, to take that chance and leap out. And we will get lots of great information here with these Post-it notes, and we'll be able to collaborate that live as well. So you ladies have a wonderful weekend and enjoy the sunshine outside, and hopefully we'll keep some sunshine for the rest of the weekend as well. Well, it is 4 o'clock and we are about to sign off. So make sure that you join us again on Monday, and we are going to focus on recommended curricular instruction and resources for you on Monday. And then all of these presentations will be linked here as well by that time. And just to review, all the presentations, including this latest MTSS implementation, is linked on there as well for you. So don't hesitate to revisit that over and over again. And I hope everybody has a wonderful weekend. And until then, we'll see you later. Bye, guys.